Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our live broadcast. Tonight we're looking at Anguttara Nikaya, Book of Fours, Sutta 114, the Naga Sutta. This one goes with 113, which we did on Sunday, which dealt with a thoroughbred horse. So we have 4 kinds of horses which are special, which are superior kinds of horses. Here we have 4 types of naga, but naga here means elephant. It's an odd word that it's used for many different things, but here it's actually referring to an elephant, which is one of the meanings of naga. Naga can also mean just man, or it means hero or something, or some special man, special hero person. It also means serpent, dragon, kind of. But here we have 4 types of elephant: naga elephant, bull elephant, I guess is the idea, that are worthy of a king. So there are many kinds of elephant, just as there are many kinds of people. But like elephants, some people are not doing much with their lives. They're not really of any benefit to themselves or others. Certainly not special, and certainly not royal. Certainly not of a higher, noble quality in their demeanor or their attitude or their behavior. But some people, like some elephants, are exceptional. They have qualities that make them exceptional, that make them noble. That make them worthy of a king. Well, in Dhamma terms, that would mean worthy of the Buddha, worthy of the Buddha's praise and appreciation. So let's talk about elephants first. This is a nice, concise list, easy to remember words. Ida bhikkhave bhikkhu ranyo nago. Here, monks, a king's elephant. Hoti is, what is this king's elephant? Sotacha, hantacha, kantacha, gantacha. Very brief. It sounds kind of short. Well, it is. Sota, hanta, kanta, and ganta. So what does that mean? Sota means one who listens, a listener. Hanta means a killer. Kanta means a bearer. And ganta means a goer. So these 4 qualities of an elephant, these 4 characteristics of an exceptional elephant, exceptional bull elephant. We're talking about the big hero, leader, alpha, male elephant, I guess. Hearer, killer, bearer, goer. So what does this mean? Well, or listener, sorry. The bull elephant listens. It means whatever the elephant trainer says and teaches it, it listens. And whether it's done it before or not, it listens and learns and becomes proficient in it. So that's a listener. As for being a killer, an elephant, well, the thing about these elephants is they'd use them in battle. We don't think of elephants as warriors, but indeed they were a big part of the war machine in places like India. So when they enter into battle, they would kill other elephants and elephant riders, horses, chariots, even infantry, and infantry. They would kill everyone. And this is a kind of special elephant that's able to kill all of its enemies. It's a pleasant thought. It's a killer. A bearer, well, special elephant, an exceptional elephant, will be able to bear the blows from the enemy. So it won't be afraid, it won't run away, it won't lose heart when it's struck by spears, swords, arrows, and axes, or when there's loud noise, fireworks, explosions, drums. So it endures and it bears with difficult, potentially fearsome situations. Dangerous. And the fourth quality, a goer. What does it mean to be a goer? A goer means the elephant goes quickly. Wherever it is sent, it travels quickly. Sorry, I had to check something. Some elephants are very quick, they can travel very fast, and they have great stamina, so they can travel long distances. So much for elephants. Those are 4 qualities that are important in an elephant. Likewise, there are 4 qualities that are important in a bhikkhu, one who is practicing to become free from suffering. What are these 4 qualities? Well, a bhikkhu has to be sota cha, hanta cha, khanta cha, ganta cha. They have to be all 4 of the same things. They have to be a listener, a killer, a bearer, and a goer. So this is what's for us. It's for us to think about on our path to become exceptional, to rise above mediocrity. People think, well, what's wrong with being mediocre? Mediocre means, it's not about comparing oneself to others, but it means being stuck in the middle of samsara, spinning around, up and down, some good, some bad, in this meaningless and ultimately futile existence. It doesn't ever satisfy us or bring us peace, that is constantly threatening to upend us and drown us in the ocean of samsara. But it's possible to be, the point is it's possible to be better, to be happier, to be at peace, to be invincible, to go beyond the vicissitudes of life, and to enter into a state that is, or to become one, or to possess a mind that is incapable of falling into stress or suffering. So how do we do this? What do we need? What does it mean? First we need to be a listener. Well, a listener should be it's quite straightforward. Yes, you have to listen. And it means when you hear the teachings, that you actually listen, that you lend an ear, that you are attentive, This is one thing I find teaching at the university. Today we had a great crowd. We had, I think, 10 new people come. But it was funny because I didn't get a sense that they were all totally, that their attention spans were as one might wish, which is normal for a beginner meditator, but I get the feeling in these sessions that not all of them are going to come back. It's hard for them to keep their minds, I think, focused long enough to meditate. That's the sense I get at university in general, is that it's not really the great soil in which to grow a meditation community. Everyone's too fixed and focused on other things, too distracted by so many different things. We can't be like that. We have to listen, we have to heed, attend to, direct our whole mind to the teaching. You have to really want it. You have to appreciate it. Meditation is very much a part of one's life. It can't just be a hobby or a pastime. It's not just a quick fix. You have to become a meditator. You have to say to yourself, this is who I want to be. I want to be training. I want to be a trainee. This is the Buddha called us as seika. I want to be someone who trains myself, who improves myself. And so you have to listen. You have to listen to the Buddha's teaching. When the Buddha teaches, when I teach you can just say hearing. But when you read the Buddha's teaching, when you listen to someone relating the Buddha's teaching, you have to listen carefully. The first one. The second one has to be a killer. Yes, the Buddha liked to use these sorts of words. Bhikkhu Bodhi is a bit kinder. He says a destroyer, one who destroys. But hanta really, I think, just means a killer. Hanati means to kill. You could say destroy, but killer. What does he kill? A bhikkhu kills 3 things. Kills sensual thoughts, kills thoughts of ill will, and kills thoughts of harming. I like to say oppression because I'm not really clear the difference otherwise. Oppressive thoughts. So thoughts, bad thoughts, thoughts of greed, anger, and delusion. One dispels, terminates, and obliterates it. The point is that these are the things that take us away from the present moment, take us away from reality, and get us caught up in the tangled web of delusion, addiction, aversion, hatred, oppression, arrogance, conceit. All of these things come from allowing and encouraging these thoughts to continue, and no, we don't allow them. When they arise, you strike them down with mindfulness. When you're angry, you would say angry, angry. Don't let it go any further. When you want something, don't give it any quarter. Wanting, wanting. That's it. Liking, liking. Clinging, clinging. And to kill them. Kill the evil. These are the monsters. The true enemy. It's an interesting, the word for noble in Pali and Sanskrit is Arya. Arya. So we know this word from racist groups who believe that there's an Aryan race. I guess Pali is Arya and Sanskrit is Arya. Arya, I think. There's a missing I. Pali is Arya. Either way, it means, it's translated as noble, but it's an interesting word. It probably does originate from the idea of someone who conquers their enemies. because Ari means enemy. Ya means gone. I think, or far. They translate it in Thai as far from one's enemies. I think that's the commentary definition or etymology. I don't know that that's correct, but Arya means one who has gone beyond their enemies. We use that. The Buddha used that word. In the time of the Buddha, it wasn't a bad. It wasn't something that was racist. Or maybe it was. I think the Aryans, they did think of themselves, and it was racist. It was about color. They talked about the dark-skinned demons in the Vedas. They had the Aryans who were light-skinned, and then the barbarians. No, the demons. They actually called them demons, and it was the dark-skinned indigenous peoples of India that they were conquering and destroying. I think. Actually, I'm not. That's one theory, I suppose. But the Buddha used this word Arya, and he said, well, one is an Arya because of their deeds, not because of the color of their skin, not because of their birth, their class. And so he used Arya in a very different way. And so in Buddhism, this is what it means: an Arya is one who kills, who has defeated, who has gone beyond their enemies, the enemies of greed, anger, and delusion. That's how one is a killer. How is one a bearer? You see how it relates? This should be easy to think of as well. A bearer means one endures cold and heat. One endures hunger and thirst, contact with flies, mosquitoes, wind, the burning sun, and serpents. Yes, you endure snake bites, rude and offensive ways of speech. You endure the slings and arrows of unjust fortune. You bear up with arisen bodily feelings that are painful, racking, sharp, piercing, harrowing, disagreeable, sapping one's vitality. Again, Bhikkhu Bodhi uses this. It's wonderful language, really, but I would just say, takes away your life. And I think he's wrong, actually. I think he doesn't understand that the Buddha's I would argue is saying that, who am I to say Bhikkhu Bodhi is brilliant, but my feeling is that what he's really saying here is it can kill you. And he probably talks about this because the ordinary translation is that could take your life away. Meaning is you bear with pain even if it's deadly. Or maybe it feels deadly, I don't know. But but the point is, you're going. If pain comes in, it's going to kill you. If you suffer an injury, that's going to kill you. It's very important that you bear it and don't react to it. Because when you react to it, you die in a bad way. Your death will not be one of peace and clarity, but one of fear and distress. So meditators know a lot about enduring, no? Bearing. You have to bear with these things. Bear with physical discomfort. I had a meditator today. There was a mosquito in our meditation room at McMaster. And he was asking about this. He said, what do you do? And the teacher said he tried to kill it. And so I was saying, you feel much better when you don't try to kill it. This release. There's a great release when you learn to be patient. Learn to bear, rather than to react, rather than to destroy. Instead, destroy your defilements. In fact, enduring things might be considered to be very much the cornerstone of the practice. There's something called anulomika khanti, which means patience that that goes with the grain. Patience that goes with the grain. Anulomika. Anu means with. Loma is actually the grain of wood. So wood has a grain to it, and if you cut it with the grain, it splits in half. We used to split wood when I was a kid living in the forest. We had to split wood all day long. Some days. And you can only cut it one way, of course. If you take the axe the other way, you don't get anywhere. So we call going with the grain, that's what this means. And in Buddhism that means going with the grain of reality. You have and of enlightenment. So when you start to get in line with reality, and you're no longer at odds with reality in terms of, oh, I wish it was like this, or I wish it wasn't like this. Your wishes, your expectations, your whole psyche is no longer out of line with simply the way things are. So as things are, you're content with the way things are. And patience is what brings this. When you finally have patience so that even unpleasant, terribly unpleasant experiences no longer bother you. And likewise, when pleasant, incredibly pleasant experiences no longer entice you. This is called going with the grain. You're now with reality. It is what it is. You no longer want it to be something different, or want it not to change, want it to change. And you're just content as it is. And finally we have a goer. How is a bhikkhu a goer? Well, likewise, a bhikkhu goes places. A bhikkhu goes places. A bhikkhu is someone who's going places. One place in particular. They go to the place where they've never been before. It's very hard to go to a place where you've never been before, because we've been born so many times that odds are we've been pretty much everywhere. But there's one place we've never been before. There's one place that until you practice insight meditation, you've never been there before. Even if you practiced insight meditation, you may not have been there yet. When you get there, you know. This is Nibbana. A bhikkhu who goes to Nibbana, this is an extraordinary person. This is a noble person. This is a person worthy of praise, fit for the king, fit for the Buddha's praise. The stilling of all activities, the relinquishment of all acquisitions, the destruction of craving, dispassion, cessation, Nibbana. That is how one is a goer. We're not just practicing this just to relieve stress. We're practicing this to destroy stress, to completely obliterate it, to become invincible, to attain the state that is beyond suffering. Suffering can't reach. This is the noble elephant. These are the 4 qualities. So, that's the Dhamma for tonight, keeping in mind these 4 qualities. You have to listen, you have to work to kill, you have to fight your enemies. You have to bear with the things that get in your way, and you have to go all the way, go the distance. Don't stop until you've attained your goal, Nibbana. Okay. How are we doing? I assume we've got questions, because last night I wasn't answering questions.
We have questions. Can you hear me okay, Bhante?
I can hear you okay.
This is my question. Bhante, my workplace is offering free flu shots. Is taking a flu shot another way of trying to avoid pain and discomfort, and therefore something I should pass on? Or is it a sensible way to increase my odds of staying healthy and being able to practice? Thank you.
Good question. I would suppose it's a good thing. It's also kind of your civic duty at this point, because other people rely on you to take it, right? If we don't all take it, then more of us, there's more sickness going around, I think. I don't really know. There's, I guess, a little bit of controversy about it, but right, is it trying to avoid pain? You have to ask yourself, what does it mean to get a flu? If getting a flu cripples you, for me, it would cripple me and I wouldn't be able to study, so there's no way I could really study when I get the flu, so probably a good idea to get the flu shot. So there are practical reasons. If you're just a meditator living off in the forest, I wouldn't really see the point. You could argue for it, but and the Buddha wasn't against the taking of medicine, but I would sort of take an educated opinion that I don't think going off to the extent of getting needles is really appropriate. Vaccines, potentially. Like if there was a dengue vaccine, that would be great, because then I could live in Sri Lanka. There's all the other deadly stuff in Sri Lanka, but yeah, I wouldn't. I would think, even for a Buddhist, you're more concerned with things like being able to do your work. Meditation doesn't really rely on not getting the flu, because it's a great experience to get the flu. In terms of meditation, it's a great opportunity to test yourself, potentially.
Thank you, Bhante. Thank you for your insights. I've been following your channel and your videos, and everything seems to be very helpful, so thanks.
You're welcome.
For my question, when doing walking meditation, after a while of sighting left, right, etc., I get in kind of a trance, which seems to be very similar to staring. I'm still aware of everything I think, but something is a bit off, like I'm stuck on some kind of a loop. But the feeling is very calming, relaxing, and I think rewarding. Is this what it means to be in a meditative state? It also happens in sitting meditation, but much less often.
No, that's not useful to you. It sounds like you might be doing some kind of automatic walking. Like it shouldn't just be left, right. It should be step being right, and then you stop, and then step being left. So there's actually a break. Anytime you get into a rhythm or moving both feet at once, if you're doing that, which you may not be, but suppose you are, that might get you into kind of a trance. Hopefully, if you're doing it one step at a time, you're less likely to get in a trance. That being said, once you get into a kind of a trance, and you feel calm, or you feel like some kind of fixed state, then you have to note that. When you're calm, you have to say calm, calm. And if you feel some kind of fixedness, you might say feeling, feeling. Or maybe knowing, knowing. It's not really rewarding. It's actually kind of useless. Sorry. There's no reward. You don't get a medal for that. Yeah.
According to your booklet, when doing sitting meditation, one should first be mindful on breaths, and then the other for dhammas, as in the mental state, emotions, etc. So isn't that not exactly letting go and waiting for something natural to occur? Which is my problem when doing sitting meditation, which is I can't seem to get deeper. What should I do? Actually do step-by-step of observing each of the dhammas, or wait for something to happen, observe, and go back to observe breathing? I'm pretty lost here.
I don't know what you mean by going deeper, except because you had that last question. I'm assuming it has something to do with feeling these states of peace and calm, which isn't really the point. I mean, the frustration that it sounds like you might be feeling is very much the point of the meditation. You can't but be frustrated by your attempts to try to control. And sounds like you're clinging, actually. You want to go deeper and you can't, and that you have a problem. The idea that you have a problem in the first place is really the problem. The idea is to let go of that, to just experience things as they are. It sounds like you might need a little more patience, and we're not first mindfulness of the breath. It's just the stomach is just an object that you can watch when there's nothing else going on, something to always come back to. It's sort of like an anchor, because otherwise you're just running around and you don't know whether you're actually being mindful or you're chasing things. So always try to come back to the stomach, just to keep you grounded. But, sounds like you might have some unresolved desires and expectations about meditation, which are a cause for suffering. Any kind of expectation is. That's what we're trying to find in meditation. We're trying to see what... It's funny, people come to meditation and think, well, when am I going to get what I want? That's the point, this wanting. You want something even out of meditation, and the whole idea is to give up wanting. So you have to sit there until you stop wanting, until you stop wanting to progress. Then you've really progressed. That's basically the point.
Jokes are useless, however, they can help people get through some difficult times. So my question is joking around a wrong speech? Thank you very much.
Well, I don't have a definitive answer on that, but let's just say if speech is helpful, true, and timely, let's not even worry about timely, but if it's helpful, if the intention is for it to be helpful and it's true, then you could say that it's good right speech. But if you just say something just for the sake of saying it, or even for the sake of just making someone laugh, it's not really right speech. You say it can help people get through difficult times, kind of, but it's kind of just like drugs can help people get through or alcohol can help people get through difficult times. It's not really a wholesome way of dealing with your problems. That's really the point.
At first I believed I was becoming less reactive to my teacher's laughter of me, but today I have been fairly disturbed by it. Do you think I have been meditating incorrectly? As well, which approach for handling this situation is best? Filing a school complaint or using Vipassana?
I thought maybe you were talking about me. I'm not really laughing at you, am I? I laugh sometimes. I like to think we're laughing with rather than at. But you're not talking about me, so I'm safe for now. Fairly disturbed by it. No, meditation is about seeing how disturbed you get, and it's about seeing how much suffering that causes you. Don't expect much of yourself that you're going to be able to suddenly not get disturbed by things. The beginning stage is to learn that you are getting disturbed by things, and to see how much you get disturbed by things, and to really get a sense of how messed up you are. That's really the first part of the practice. You can only begin to cure your problems once you realize you have them. So don't ever try and pretend that you don't, or even feel discouraged when you see that you do. And see it as a part of the process, is the seeing. Vipassana means to see clearly. When you see your problems clearly, that's really all you have to do. See that being disturbed, see it clearly. Say to yourself, disturbed, or disliking, or sad, or angry, or whatever. And eventually you'll give it up, because you'll start to see it's not useful to do that. Filing a school complaint, well, no, not unless it's affecting your grades. I wouldn't worry about it unless it's affecting your grades. If it is affecting your grades, then yeah, that's what school complaints are for. Think about it. You could argue that it's a part of proper worldly etiquette to file a complaint if someone is really out of line. But you have to ask yourself, are they really out of line, or are they just, kind of dumb and kind of rude? Like if a teacher starts sexually touching a student, or if a teacher makes racist comments, that kind of thing, You might argue it's important to bring to the attention to the faculty for everyone's benefit. Because it's hurting others, and it's hurting the teacher as well. It's causing them to do things that they shouldn't. It's real suffering for them. So part of your practice should be to think of this teacher compassionately, and think of what you can do to ease their suffering and stop them from doing evil things.
Bhante, if I am meditating outside and it becomes uncomfortably hot, is there any significance in noting hot, hot, rather than aversion, aversion, or vice versa? Or is it purely a matter of choice?
It's more a matter of what is clear to you, because they're not going to happen at the same time, even though it seems like it. They're going back and forth. So once you get quick enough, you're able to see one at a time, and when you feel one, note that one. So basically, whichever one is clearest to you, you wouldn't overthink it. If you feel them both, well, pick one. Doesn't really matter. Over time, you'll start to see them distinctly, and you'll pick whichever one is distinct at that moment.
Bhante, can I have someone pinch my arm so I can note pain, pain, or does meditation only apply to the reality which I'm not designing?
I'm impressed that you guys can still surprise me with questions after all these years. No, I've heard that one before, actually, but I don't think I've answered it on the internet yet. So this argument, can you manufacture feelings? Manufacture experiences? So yes, you can. That part is fine, but the problem is in the manufacturing. You are... It's actually probably innocuous. It's probably not that big of a deal, but you want to be very careful in terms of, what's the word? Manufacturing experiences, because it's no longer natural. There's a potential. You could argue that putting yourself in a position where you feel pain could be useful. But no, there's a problem with it, definitely, because you're creating this perverse mind of causing yourself pain. It's mild, but there is something there. I mean, this is the whole problem with self-mortification, this idea that there's some benefit to it. You have to be very careful about causing yourself pain, because it creates a perverse mind state. It's not natural. I would be careful about that kind of idea.
When I say lying, I kind of tend to enter a calm and blissful state. Thus, I am not sure if I am more so cultivating tranquility through the aforementioned mantra. What do you think? As well, I have some difficulty locating the rising and falling of the stomach, and sometimes I don't feel any different after completing a session with the rising and falling, and feel I may somehow be meditating incorrectly. Thus, should I just say lying?
You have a lot of thoughts. This is a problem. You have to not overthink things so much. Is this, is this that? If you feel calm, you say calm. If you're lying, say lying. I think you think too much.
It doesn't make sense for me to worry about my entertainment consumption if I'm only able to do 10 to 40 minutes of daily sitting meditation. I believe I should only begin regulating my entertainment once I'm able to meditate for multiple hours a day. Wouldn't you agree? As well, while my practice in the aforementioned stage of 10 to 40 minutes of daily meditation with unrestrained entertainment, will I still see progress?
Again, with progress, don't worry so much about progress. Because every moment that you're mindful, you change something about yourself. Think of it more like that. And the point is, yourself is a very, very complex entity. It's full of all sorts of contradictory and complicated and There's so much to who you are that you're not like a car traveling up a hill. You can see, oh look, I've gotten higher. You're just changing, some good, some bad. So every moment that you're mindful is a good thing. Every moment you spend indulging in entertainment is a bad thing. So, but they're not gonna. It's not like it's gonna somehow cancel out. It's just gonna change you in two different ways at once. Well, not at once, but back and forth. They will, to some extent, cancel each other out, but they will also turn you into a new person. There's no way to quantify how much benefit you're going to get, because it's all about the moments. If you're listening to music and you're mindful hearing, and it's actually a very good thing. Of course, it doesn't make you want to listen to music, but it's very much a benefit. But okay, as far as worrying, I wouldn't worry too much about it if you're only doing 10 to 40 minutes. But is there much benefit to just doing 10 to 40 minutes a day? Well, there's not much benefit to it. There is benefit, and it's much better than not doing any meditation. But you might want to up it a little bit, and you might want to reduce your entertainment consumption. Both of those would be good for your practice. If you just are constantly finding entertainment, it's going to get in the way of your practice, definitely.
Sometimes I can't feel my stomach rising or falling at all, but only my torso. Can I meditate on the rising and falling of my torso? Or perhaps is what I mistake for the rising and falling of my torso actually the rising and falling of my stomach? When I'm meditating, I perceive the top half of my body rising and falling, which may encompass my abdomen, but I don't feel my stomach itself rising and falling.
Well, you can put your hand on your stomach. It's a sign that you're probably quite tense. It has something to do with all that thinking you do. Sorry, now I am kind of laughing at you. I'm sorry, I'm just being kind of teasing, I suppose. Try and go to the stomach, because you'll find once you do relax, that's where it will be. Don't be stubborn. It will come, and it is there. Put your hand on your stomach and you'll find it.
When talking to girls in daily life, it's very easy to get caught up in desire and end up joking around. What is the most effective way to deal with women besides avoiding them? Thank you.
Those darn women, huh? What do you think, Robin? What should he do to deal with women?
You would say be mindful.
Would I? Yep, I would.
How can a deaf person use the noting technique?
It's a very good question. I've had a deaf person, actually. We talked about this. And we had them imagine signs. Use sign language in the mind. There is a sense of the sign. I mean, I'm not really clear on it myself, but so for those of you who aren't clear on this, as a person who is, say, born deaf and doesn't communicate with words, they communicate with signs, right? And you can actually use sign language as a means of communicating. And so in your mind you would use the sign for whatever it was.
I am experiencing doubt, anxiety, and aversion. I doubt my meditation practice. I fear I'm not becoming less reactive to my teacher's laughter. Am I averse to my meditation practice? After hearing what you said about entertainment regulation, I became stressed and gradually more averse to my practice. How can I overcome these hindrances?
Maybe you won't. I can't guarantee this for you. It's completely up to you. I have nothing to offer you but what you've already taken. It's up to you to put it to use. I would imagine, it's maybe one thing I could offer is don't maybe stress so much about it, and don't take it so hard or so seriously. You'll find it is a natural part of being a beginner meditator is to really freak out about the fact that you're not a very good meditator. And over time you'll find that just changes. It's not such a big deal. You're not a failure. It's not useless. It's just, you ever play golf? You ever tried to play golf? Anyone who's ever tried to play golf, it's one of the most frustrating sports. You can't hit that little ball. And when you do hit it, it flies in very much the wrong direction. Any kind of sport is generally like that in the beginning. But you just have to pull yourself together. Don't get consumed by doubts. It's too easy to doubt things.
My in-breaths generally take about 6 seconds, and my out-breaths take 10 to 12 seconds. So I repeat rising about 3 to 4 times and falling 4 times each breath, each time noting a different sensation in the rising and falling. Is this okay?
I wouldn't recommend it. I would wonder if you're actually trying to deepen the breath somehow. It's possible that it's that long, but 6 seconds. No, it doesn't seem natural to me. Maybe it is for some people, but it could be also that you're doing some kind of yoga breathing, which we don't want to get into. Don't take such deep breaths, I would say. Let it just be a natural, short breath. But if it is long, and you can say it several times, but you could also just say it really slowly. See? I'm not so comfortable saying it many times. Sometimes you'll do it when it's in stages, when you feel the different stages of the breath. So it'll be rising, rising, rising. Sometimes it'll go like that. Okay, it's not wrong. If you want to do it, you want to say rising, rising, rising. It's actually not wrong. I'll go ahead.
Hello, Bhante. In your tradition, do you put emphasis on attaining Siddha Asana, in other words, being able to remain in full lotus for hours without any discomfort, numbness, etc.? Some Buddhism masters, in other words, Swan Hu, emphasize the ability as a prerequisite to reach deeper levels of consciousness.
Have you read my booklet on how to meditate? Well, okay. I'd recommend reading my booklet, and you'll get a sense of what my tradition is. But no, we don't train to remain in full lotus for hours. It's funny, there's this kid at McMaster who's been asking me these things. You're not him, are you? No, I don't think so. But it's not really beneficial at all. There's no point to that. Not in our tradition. And we're not trying to reach deep levels of consciousness. We're just trying to understand consciousness, deep or shallow.
Buddhism doesn't believe in a soul such as Hinduism does. Hinduism says the soul is eternal. Buddhists believe in eternal life, everlasting existence.
No. Well, eternal life is, metaphorically in terms of nibbana being everlasting life, but that's not really true. Unless you believe that nibbana could be called eternal existence or eternal life, but in the sense that you're thinking of it, absolutely not. It's nothing like an internal existence or life.
Can one soul split into two and incarnate the two separate bodies? If so, how do those two souls merge together again after death?
No, and I don't have to answer that.
Bhante, in Mahasi Sayadaw's book, Practice of Insight Meditation, he states that a mental note does not have to be a mantra or a verbal word. Is mental noting without using a verbal word or thinking of mental noting as a word still going according to Vipassana practice?
Didn't we talk about this already? I thought I talked with you about this. That line isn't supposed to be in that book. It's an interpretation by the English translator. I'm pretty sure that Mahasi Sayadaw didn't actually ever say that. I thought I talked to you about this. But yeah, it's an interesting point. No, I'm talking like Jason. We've actually talked about this. But it's an interesting point that book has. I'm pretty clear because I looked that specific passage up, thinking this is not like anything else he said elsewhere. And I looked at the Thai translation, and the Thai translation doesn't have that sentence in it. And then you read the introduction to Practical Insight Meditation, and it says it was an interpretation by an English woman, an English person, British person, or no, American person, I think.
Oh, those Americans.
Yeah, I mean, how could you trust it when you know that?
Hello, Bhante. If buying an old Thai Buddha amulet from a shop, does it still work? Thank you.
Work for what? It's a paperweight?
What are amulets supposed to do?
You're not really asking me, does it protect you from evil spirits? Is that really what you're asking me? I suppose it might be. Sorry, I don't deal in such things. That's really considered superstition in Buddhism. We don't really have whether it's true or not, it's not something we deal in. So, which might shock you because in Thailand they very much deal in that. But Ajahn Tong, it's kind of, I'm happy to see that he doesn't subscribe to that stuff. It's not even that we don't believe that it's true, that it's possible. It's just not Buddhism.
How can I increase my intelligence and memory? I've seen some children do certain meditations and they can memorize whole books.
Well, I would think mindfulness meditation would help with it, but it's not really our goal. It's not the sort of meditation I teach.
Is there much difference in practicing meditation at different times of the day? Is there such a thing as too much meditation for a beginner?
There will be differences, but that's good. It's good to practice at different times, in different ways, in different places. So, yes, different, but that's just to be expected, right? You're a different person at different times of the day. Too much meditation? Not too much meditation, but too much meditation. Which means if you're actually meditating, like if your moments are clear, then there's no such thing as too much. But for a beginner, they're not really meditating most of the time, so they're just spending most of their time getting stressed until they figure out how to do it. It's like, take this beginner golfer who spends all their day attacking the ball and not hitting it. Well, you can actually hurt yourself if you do it too much. You have to sort of wait until you get better at it, and then start practicing more. So, practically speaking, yes, a beginner should not do too much. They should slowly work into it until they get better at it. If they do too much, they might go crazy, they might, because they're practicing all wrong, is the point. But that's not to say, just practice a very, very little. It just means practice a moderate amount. And you'll feel that increases over time. You can do more. Don't try and do as much as you possibly can, because you're probably not doing it entirely correctly as a beginner.
I was meditating a couple of years ago and I saw a black shadowy figure appearing about a meter from me when I slightly opened my eyes, and it looked like I knew I was able to see it. Is this real, or is it a consciousness manifesting itself in reality displaying my fears? I did research on what I saw, and I learned that some people called these things lower vibrational entities. What is it, if you know, and is it real or not?
Well, it's seeing. It's called rupa. Rupa means something that you see. And you see it. So then you say seeing. That's a satisfying answer, I hope.
If I practiced enough meditation, would I be able to jump through the air? Hmm.
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 Yeah.
Maybe we'll skip that one.
Yeah. And we
Yeah.
might
Yeah.
flag that user and potentially. We're not.
Yeah.
We're not that kind of site. Sorry.
No.
And on that note, thanks everyone for your interesting questions. I hope I wasn't too critical of them in general. I wish you all have a good practice, or at least have a good night. Thank you, Robin, for your help. Good night, everyone.
Thank you, Bante. Good night.